the finish line with a 5.32-second elapsed time, 271 miles an hour. His time, while it's good, not good enough to get lane choice. That resides in the camp of Mark Oswald in the finals for Funny Car Eliminator. Top Fuel coming up next.
At Bleecker in Utica.
In what could be the pivotal race for the Winston Championship for Top Fuel Eliminator, Joe Amato in the near lane challenges Gary Ormsby. Earlier, Steve had a chance to talk to both drivers about their game plan for this race.
If this was a ball game, I would say that you are on offense right now.
Yeah, I think the ball's in our court. We've got lane choice this time, and hopefully that'll be enough to get us through it. He ran awful good last time with that pedal in the car. We saw that he pedaled the car, so that 07 was a little bit off probably what he would have ran if he hadn't had to do that.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, what comes after hardball? It's tough right now. He's running good. His car's running good. He's got a car that's a little better than this car because the motor's back further, and this track's a little slippery, and that gives him a little advantage.
You feel you're on defense now?
Definitely we're on defense. We're struggling. He's the favorite.
While Amato may be on defense, he is the reigning champion of the series, and it is Ormsby who's trying to take that title away from him. Both cars rolling forward, setting the stage. Tremendous racing, and Ormsby by a half a car length wins the race. 4.98 seconds at 289 miles an hour. The losing time for Amato, extremely close, 5:01 at 291. Nobody got an advantage off the starting line. It was an equal start for both drivers. By the time they had reached the midpoint or the 8th mile, a slight lead for Ormsby. Then, as they neared the finish line, you can see Ormsby continued to hold on to the lead and took the victory.
Gary, got to call that a touchdown.
Thank you, Steve. Well, that was a tough one. I saw him right there at the end, so I knew it was a close one.
You ran another 4.98.
Good. I felt pretty good, and we had her cut back just a little bit, tried to knock smoke tires.
Look at the relief on that man's face.
Steve, he's got to feel that the weight of the World Championship has just been lifted off his shoulders because the victory over Amato automatically ensures 200 more points going to Gary Ormsby. What a break for this man. Number 4 coming into this race in the point standing. Darrell Gwynn gets a single here in the semifinals as Mike Brotherton did not answer the call to lanes. Thus, Darrell Gwynn has only to challenge the clock. Trying for the lane choice. Gwynn runs 5.03 seconds. The lane choice will go to Ormsby in the finals of the Chief Auto Parts National. And yet again, Gary Ormsby is confronted with a challenge from one of the cars, still in contention for the points lead, Darrell Gwynn. Final round racing coming up next. In the final of Pro Stock Eliminator at the Chief Nationals, Warren Johnson against Larry Morgan, and Morgan choosing the lane on the far side of the racetrack. In the Top Fuel pits, Steve has the story on Mike Brotherton.
Well, one of the most exciting Top Fuel weekends Michael Brotherton has spent has come to a sudden end. Darrell Gwynn has taken the single. What happened, Mike?
On the last run, we came back and serviced the motor. It was all together and just about to set the supercharger on it. We were tightening the valley studs, and one of the studs pulled out of the cylinder heads. It's a common problem. It just, of anything to happen, that would be the worst, because you got to take the head back off, drill it out, put a helicoil in it, and put it back on. And we got it all the way back oiled and put together. All we were going to do is screw spark plugs in it and get up there. We were just about 15 minutes late.
Sorry to see you out.
I'm sorry to be out, Steve.
What a shame for Mike Brotherton, but what a weekend, capped with, of course, that 294.88 mile an hour run. Now, the final race in Pro Stock Eliminator. Larry Morgan in the far lane. Near lane, Warren Johnson. A tremendous driving job by Warren Johnson. He used his reaction time to beat the quickest time of elimination. Larry Morgan ran 7.29 seconds, but it was all wasted because on the starting line, as you can see in replay, Warren Johnson got nearly 0.05 of a second advantage at the start. His time of a 7:31 was more than enough to beat Larry Morgan for the title of the Chief Auto Parts Nationals. As they neared the finish line, the advantage that Johnson had gained at the start paid off. By the slimmest of margins, he's the victor and the champion.
Everybody knows Warren Johnson is a brilliant engineer, engine builder, innovator. Today, you were a brilliant driver. Your 31 beat his 29.
Perfect. I can't have a better run than that, really. I mean, the low ET that we got for qualifying, that helps. But come on here, Larry. I mean, 2 Olsen Bills, I mean, you can't do any better than that.
Great job, Larry.
Where are you at? I'll tell you that. Yeah, but those kids, you know, you got plenty of time.
We'll let you guys discuss it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Johnson.
The Pro Stock standings in the Winston Points Chase, still headed by Bob Glidden by a whopping margin over Bruce Allen. Morgan is in 3rd, Johnson 4th, and Darrell Alderman's Dodge in the number 5 spot. The burnouts are completed. In the near lane, it is the Ford Probe of Mark Oswald. And one thing to note here, with the lane choice, Oswald has selected the lane nearest the camera. This goes counter to every other quick car in eliminations today. Don Prudhomme in the far lane. His crew making a final check. Mike Klober, the crew chief, directing him into the proper spot on the starting line. The Pontiac-bodied car comes to a halt in the pre-stage B. Both drivers now getting themselves ready inside the car. They roll forward, get set, and the gamble failed for Oswald. Up in smoke. Prudhomme across the finish line, the winner of 5:26 at 2:69. A little late hitting his parachute, but no problems for Prudhomme, slowing after his championship run. As we look again, you see Oswald in the near lane, making that lane switch just as the 2 cars came to the starting line. Oswald lost traction within the first 100 feet. Prudhomme, meantime, streaked down the quarter mile to take home the Chief Auto Parts Nationals Funny Car Crown. This win now moves him into 2nd place behind Bruce Larson, just a few points ahead of Kenny Bernstein.
Well, David, a very lazy parachute on the Chief Champ in Funny Car down the Snake Prudhomme. 5:26. You're down there. Everything's great.
Yeah, it was great. It wasn't the way we'd like to do it, you know, with setting low 18 and everything. But, gee, Ed McClelland did a great job of that 13. I can't, you know, thank enough about that. And we're just happy, you know, with Skoll and Pontiac and Performance Corner people that support us. I appreciate it.
Were you surprised when Oswald changed his mind on the lanes?
I really was, you know. Usually when someone does that, it's a problem, and we had everything in our favor when they do that, you know. Otherwise, psychologically, I thought we had him.
Takes a little of the load off of you.
Well, it sure does, you know, and I think this might move us into 2nd place for the World Championship, which is kind of nice, too.
Big money difference between 2nd and 3rd.
Well, it sure is, but, you know, we got 2 more big races to go, and I'm just real happy. The crew did a great, great job.
We're happy for all of you. Terrific.
Thank you very much.
Try to get that chute out a little early, will you?
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Makes me nervous.
Get through the lights, huh?
Steve Don is exactly right. Getting to the finish line first is what counts, and the big win here moves him ahead of Bernstein. There's the standings. Larson first, Prudhomme 2nd, Bernstein in 3rd, Mark Oswald 4th, and Ed McCulloch, the number 5 car in the series points chase. Don's wife, Lynn Prudhomme, offering her congratulations as only the Top Fuel final remains. Only one race remains on the Texas Motorplex quarter mile, and it is the title for Top Fuel Eliminator at stake. Darrell Gwynn in the near lane. Gary Ormsby in the far lane. Ormsby the leader, Gwynn 4th in point standings. Gwynn had run consistent 4 second times in the first and second round. Then on that single in the semifinals, he slowed to a 5:03. That gave Ormsby, who had a 4 second time in his semifinal win over Amato, the choice of lane. And he has not switched. He stayed over in the far lane of the racetrack. Both drivers collecting their thoughts, beginning to concentrate on just what it's going to take to leave the starting line. And Gary Ormsby wins the quickest side-by-side race ever. Darrell Gwynn with problems, some flame coming out of the headers. He ran 4:94. Gary Ormsby ran 4:97. The advantage at the starting line gained by Ormsby is what won this race. Look at the header flame standoff of Ormsby's car. First, by nearly 0.08 of a second, Ormsby was out on Gwynn. Darrell continued down the racetrack trying to claw his way back into the lead, but it was not to be, as Ormsby had a great 4:97 to hold off Darrell Gwynn. Gwynn's speed of only 279 miles an hour indicated that he had problems, and there you see them manifesting themselves in that ball of flame. Steve?
You know, David, there's absolutely nothing left for the man behind that multicolored helmet to prove. He has set both ends of the national record. He qualified #1 and won the final round on driving ability with a whole shot.
Oh, super, Steve. What was the time?
Your 97 beat his 94.
Oh, super. I just wanted to win. We need those points, you know. You said there's nothing left. There's one more thing left, and that's the world championship, and that's what we're going for.
He appeared to be right with you, and the blower exploded on his car.
I never saw him, but, I mean, this car, I can't see him unless they're in front of me, and that's a good... If I can't see him, it's a good sign.
A happy champion, Gary Ormsby. A little of the pressure is off. The man has now won, what, 5 national events this season?
Steve, you're exactly right on your math. 5 national titles, and this one, the biggest of them all for Gary Ormsby. It extended his lead over Joe Amato. LaHaye remains in 3rd. Darrell Gwynn a bit closer in 4th, and Eddie Hill is number 5. As the celebration begins, for Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClelland saying so long from the Texas Motorplex. The 1989 NHRA Chief Auto Parts Nationals has been brought to you by Fram Bendix Auto Light, all quality products of Allied Automotive, and by Firestone. Watch us, we're on the move. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. Coverage of the NHRA Chief Nationals has been a presentation of